There are two types of news that we don't generally do here on the Damage Report. That would be sports news or good news. But we actually have something that's both at the same time. It involves a fan at a hockey, I'm gonna say match, who spotted a staffer's suspicious mole from the stands, potentially saving his life. So here's how it began. This was the Seattle Kraken's first ever home game against the Vancouver Canucks. And Brian Red Hamilton is the assistant equipment manager for the Canucks. He was clearing off the bench. A young woman who was seated nearby noticed a suspicious mole on the back of his neck. This is Nadia Popovici, recognized the mole from her time volunteering in hospitals. So wanting to warn him, but wary of making him uncomfortable, she typed a note in large font on her phone and pressed it against the glass. And we actually have a shot of what that looks like. So this is her, and you can see there that she just put out a message. The mole in the back of your neck is possibly cancerous. Please go see a doctor, as you do. And so he said later that he didn't initially give her the time of day, but he asked his wife to take a look the next morning. And the wife said it is sort of a weird shape. The team physician also didn't like the look of the mole and removed it within days. They did a biopsy on it, and that revealed a malignant melanoma, meaning that the cancer was on the outer layer of the skin, but potentially could have become more dangerous years later. And the man with the mole, or who formerly had the mole, had this to say: "She didn't take me out of a burning car like the big stories, but she took me out of a slow fire. And the words out of the doctor's mouth were, if I ignored that for 4 to 5 years, I wouldn't be here." Isn't that amazing, Anna? She just happened to see a guy who was working the back of his neck and warns him, and is shockingly right about it. It's good advice anyway, but it actually could have potentially saved his life. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. I'm glad she did it. Wow. And I'm glad he listened, because I think it would have been easy to just kind of ignore it and not think anything of it. Imagine if he hadn't asked his wife to take a look, So I'm glad that he, took it seriously and is hopefully gonna live a long and happy life.
Yeah, and by the way, there are some parts of your body that you could happen to notice it, but it was the back of his neck. How insidious is that? He might never have seen it. Years could have gone by. Not enough people pay attention to the back of our necks. So the next time you're with a friend, give their neck a little look, Don't be weird about it though. But anyway, so she did a great thing there. And I don't know, do we have a term for like the opposite of a Karen? Like if a Karen is someone who needlessly gets involved in other people's lives because of their own personal problems and just makes the world worse. What about a person who gets involved in other people's lives in public, but makes the world a better place? Maybe we have to call it a Nadia? Maybe that's a Nadia.
Oh, I like the name Nadia a lot. But shockingly, people don't spend a lot of time focusing on good things or wanting to label good things. So I don't know, maybe we start that here. Maybe Nadia is the way to go.
And it's tough. There's a lot of social pressure. Like I'm receiving social pressure right now in the Twitch chat. Brooke labeled me a neck creep. So see, you try to do a good thing, and you get labeled a weirdo.
No, Brooke gets it. That creeped me out a little bit. I mean, there's a way to communicate that. The way you did, a little creepy.
This is the curse of being a Nadia, like Nadia, or like me. I'm constantly looking at people's skin and diagnosing it, and they just don't like that. Anyway, he wanted to thank Nadia, Hamilton did. So he put out a call on social media. You can see here, he put out this message that was spread via the Canucks Twitter account, trying to get in contact with her. She did see the message, and they met at the next game actually, and he thanked her. And you can see here a photo of him hugging her after getting it removed. How awesome is that?
Well, and then they got married. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's already married. But in addition to the thanks, the Canucks decided to do something even better. So the Kraken and the Canucks partnered. And do we have video that we can show? Yeah, let's go to this video.
Red Hamilton story we shared with you earlier. We mentioned Nadia's headed to medical school. She's been accepted at a number of schools. Kraken honored her during the second commercial timeout tonight. Seattle and Vancouver, both teams combined to award her a $10,000 scholarship. So she's already saved a life. Some of her education's paid for. Nadia's medical career's off to a good start as this story just keeps getting better, John.
Good deeds.
That's
there
right.
It is karma.
I thought briefly he was talking to me. That got weird. Anyway, so she potentially saved a life. She got $10,000 as a scholarship. How awesome is that?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now I'm definitely gonna be scoping out people's necks to see if,
Definitely.
I find anything that could lead to a nice payout.
Yeah. And by the way, does this story not just feel like almost direct karmic balance for the news of the past year or two? Not just in that she is the opposite of a Karen, she's a Nadia, but what does $10,000 represent recently? $10,000 is the number that seemingly every caveman-brained right-winger has just decided that's what every bounty for awful legislation should be. You get $10,000 for ruining a woman's life who's trying to exercise her reproductive rights. So they decided, no, $10,000 for saving a life. I like this sort of balance.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.